Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And there were so many things going on today that I literally struggled to pick something that I wanted to talk about. But I got to tell you, a lot of it, it's weird, a lot of it actually came from Crystal and Friends, the daily news show on the internet that pops up all the time. And so many things made me make me upset on that damn show. And it's almost like I'm beginning to hate watch it. I know it's kind of funny, but yes, becoming that. And then The Hill just, I can only watch the first 3 minutes of any segment. I can't finish any segment on that anymore because then Lindsay gets up and just starts yelling about such trite stuff that I want to vomit. So that's bad too. So I'm just in a bad spot when it comes to watching. I'm finding new places to watch stuff because I'm just going to go to TYT. That's it. I've surrendered. Chink, you win. I'm coming over to you, brother. I got nothing else to do here. I'm kind of kidding, but I guess you can sense my frustration in what's happening here. I am obviously frustrated. But the one that bothered me most, that really got me annoyed, and I kind of wanted to do something like that because you guys like when I get passionate. Michael yell at me and say, calm down. He will, but that's okay. The piece that really bothered me is, again, Crystal and Friends has a segment that came out over the weekend that talked about Zohran Mamdani's free buses. And they have a guy who is on that. Oh, God, what is his name? Hold on, see if I can find this guy's name. There we go. It is Spencer Schneider. That's this guy, right? And he is a guy who loves lefty stuff, which is fine. I'm not mad for that. Lefties are wonderful. Please be a lefty. He just makes stuff up. Misleads, all these things to the best of his ability. He just does it and then acts like he's smart and sounds pretty smart, which is great. He sounds smart, but he says things that don't make sense. And he did a segment on free buses in New York City and acted like, if you remember about 2 weeks ago, I went over his idea of talking about how awesome it is to have government-run grocery stores. And I debunked the entire thing because it was utterly just total garbage, total BS. Well, yeah, he did it again. He was like, you know what? I know I got Larry. I got him going. The hell with that guy. Take that. And he's done it. So I'm going to pop this up if I can. If I can pop this up and see if I can go ahead and put this in. Hold on here. See if I can pop this up so that you guys can see it. See if I got it right. See if I can share my screen effectively. I am sometimes good at this and sometimes pretty crappy. I need a couple seconds and this should do it. Now he says the bus sucks, which it depends on where you live, but in many cases it does. In many cases it does suck. That's true, but that's not every case. And he says there's many reasons, and one of the reasons is we're designed for cars. Now the problem with that is I'm not necessarily angry about the cars. I'm not necessarily angry about the cars, right? Oh, hold on, we're not having some. Did I mess that up? Hold on, let me share it again. Hold on, let me share it again. Maybe I might have screwed up on the sharing. So let me try it again. One more time. I do sometimes mess this up. It's true, but I will try it again this time and see if I got it right. Let me pop it up one more time. And tell me if you hear this one.
The bus sucks, which is why you don't take it. And I know you don't take it because only about 5% of Americans do. Now, there are a bunch of reasons why the bus sucks. One of which is that our entire society is designed for cars.
There we go. I hope you guys heard that. He said the bus sucks. And the many reasons why the bus sucks, but one of the reasons is our entire society is designed for cars. That's true. Now, with that in mind, if you realize, why were many of our cities designed for cars? Because America is an older nation compared to Europeans and Asian nations, who their cities many of them were built not for cars, but were built for literally horses and such, right? Many of them were built for that. Then something else happened. That was called World War II. And in World War II, many of these cities were literally bombed into oblivion, and they could be rebuilt. And when they were rebuilt with things like modernization, busing, and things put together. That kind of happened, right? So it changes things around a bit. So he's not wrong on this, but it doesn't mean that we have to now destroy cars. Now, New York City has been trying its best to make this city horrible for cars, and it's working. People are hating cars. It's true. It is working here. I can't stand how they're doing it. It's making many things horrible.
We're running out of roads. We didn't dream big enough.
And despite the bus just being a super big car, you'd think we would treat it like some kind of apex car that all the other cars are afraid of, but we actually treat it more like a pest issue that we just have to deal with.
And that's kind of true. And he's not wrong on this part, right? We look at it that way because the way we look at buses and subways differently in New York City. I'm not sure if it's the same in your city, but the subway system in New York is used as a system for everyone. That's what it's used for. It's going to sound weird, but if you live in New York City, you know what I mean. It feels like everyone should use the subway. Rich and poor, the mayor used to come to work on the bus. I mean, in the subway. Bloomberg used to come to work. Used to come over the subway. You see them on the subway often. The bus isn't seen that way in New York. It is, I think, very much since the city took over the bus system. Remember, all bus systems used to be privatized. So were the subway system, all private. If you ever watch the old TV show from the 50s and 60s, The Honeymooners, that TV show, Ralph Cramden is a bus driver, and he drives for Gotham Buses. It's a private bus company. That's what it is. It used to be that, right? Rosa Parks made fame, private bus company, right? That was a common thing and gave perfectly fine service. Then we made it government. He doesn't mention any of that. He doesn't mention the buses became shitty after the government took over. He doesn't bring that up. Why would he? He thinks socialism and government's awesome. So he would never do that. But that's something to consider. I talked about it when it came to the subway, and now here too.
Bus systems are chronically underfunded and underdeveloped. At minimum, bus
underfunded. This is a thing that everyone on the left will always say, underfunded. It's absolute horseshit. It is not underfunded. That is a lie. New York City spends billions upon billions of dollars on its MTA and public, more money you could possibly imagine. It's not underfunded. Incomplete? Yes. Broken? Yes. Doesn't work well? Yes. Funding? Utter lie. Total horseshit. The budgets are insane, and it loses money. MTA, I think, is $6 or $7 billion loss every single time. It is insane. Liberty Light, thank you for the $2. Show number 700, true. I love being part of the Sharpe family. Oh, yes, this is my 700th episode. That is true. Yes, I've done 700 Sharpe shows. That's a lot. Many, yes, I've done many of them. Plus, if you count my Sharpe Radio, I've done over 260 of those. And if you count the Sharp Club, over 60 of those. That's over 1,000 shows. Just that. Doesn't count other stuff. So yes, if I count my Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live, another over 125 of those shows. So yeah, we're talking 1,200 shows or so. It's a lot. But yes, but yes, 700 of these. Thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. Yes. Mastermind Hour says, it's not underfunded. It's overgrifted. True. True. Yes. Yes. Dave says, buses are small compared to subways. If you're on a subway, if you don't like someone, you can move to the subway car, correct? Yes. Being on a bus, not so much. True, and that's an issue. We look at the bus in New York City as, certain like old people and poor people use the bus. That's how it's looked upon. That's not actually necessarily true. But that literally is how many New Yorkers see it. It's a cultural issue, how we see it, even though that isn't always true. So that's something to think, right? Think about when it comes to New York. We have to change the culture of the bus. That's something also to make it feel better culturally. And you might go, Larry, it's feels. Feels matter. Feels matter, right? If people feel like the bus is not safe or feel like the bus is not for them or feel bad, you hear it all the time. You hear it. Was your boyfriend take the bus? You don't hear it as your boyfriend take the subway as an insult, right? That's an insult. You'll actually hear that, right? That's an insult you'll actually hear. So if someone goes, oh, would your boyfriend takes the bus versus your boyfriend takes the subway? Everyone takes the subway. And again, that's a cultural issue. So yes. Smite says you've done 669 episodes. You never did 666. I did 699 episodes. Yes. 699. Correct. I never did 666. Everything collapsed on that one. I don't know why I couldn't do it. So this is in theory my 700th episode because I couldn't do that one. So yeah. Point taken. Yes. Point taken. All right. Let me grab some more of these if I can.
Buses need to arrive every 15 minutes for turn up and go service. But for a lot of places in the US, they might arrive even once an hour, which just isn't frequent enough for it to be useful for most trips, which means it's a last resort for transportation, so it disproportionately serves marginalized and vulnerable populations, which means buses are allowed to fail. If buses were disproportionately used by lobbyists and hedge fund managers, our buses would be first-class luxury transportation.
See, he immediately says, it's because rich people. Why? That's how he thinks. If rich people had it, it'd be great. Yes, because it'd be privatized and they would pay for it. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But it wouldn't be a public system then, would it? It would be a privatized system that they would just pay for. And it would be great. You're right. Like private jets and private everything. Yes. So why don't we then change that piece and make it that kind of system? We could do that. We absolutely could do that. But no, you don't hear him say that. You don't hear him say that. Fran says, I think the mentality about the bus exists everywhere. Dayton, Ohio, bus lines associated with crime. Yes, I think that's a thing. So there is a cultural aspect, Fran, that we have to also work on. It isn't just cash. Obviously, it is cash. Government interference, of course it's that. And there's also a cultural issue. So I appreciate that. I really do. Let me keep going if I can.
Experiences, but we're not there yet. Enter Zohran Mamdani, next mayor of New York City, barring anything crazy. He wants to make buses fast and free in the city. Now, the fast part makes sense. Who doesn't want fast transportation? But the free part? What? Like libraries, roads, and the fire department? That'll never work. How are you going to pay for it?
See, he then immediately goes like libraries and the fire department, all that kind of stuff. That'll never work. Now, because again, he's showing, see, this, it works every single time. Well, first off, there's a whole lot of private fire departments all over, and many of them also volunteer. Also that too. Not just that. Not just that. You add on top of what he just said, libraries. Have you seen the New York City library system? Every other day it's closed. I'm not joking. It's like it's being closed. It's being shut down. The system isn't working well. Yeah. So things he's saying, he's proving himself wrong, but that's how it works.
It's just going to fail, like free buses in Kansas City just failed, where after years of being free, they're reinstating fares. Because, you know, socialism just always fails.
Yes, but the problem is he's joking. He says, see, it fails, and I'm going to show you how it doesn't fail. But he's not. What he's going to do is what most people who think socialism works is he's going to lie, misdirect, make shit up. That's what he's going to do. All the time, that's true. All the time. And here's the problem. And if you are a socialist watching, you may get upset and go, that's not socialism. What socialism is blah, 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 blah. And to be fair, you're right. The modern day socialist is actually not about centralized control. Now, some of you old schoolers are like, no, it's Stalin and blah, blah, blah. That's the modern day American socialist is not, I'm saying again, about centralized control. The modern day American socialist, meaning the foot soldier who wants socialism, actually is talking about things like worker co-ops, things like billionaires not being billionaires, people being able to have people have more control over their wealth, things like that. They're not talking about centralized control. Usually that's what the modern day socialist is about. This guy, centralized control, he's old school socialist. He's talking about, yeah, and we'll just have the government take over because that'll work. He honestly believes that. And he's looking at you like you're stupid. His smugness is the best part about it. He's like, yeah, we'll just, and why did Crystal and friends have this guy on not once, but twice with this garbage? But you'll see, of course, you will see.
Or maybe it's other actual reasons. I don't know. Also, people don't even care if the buses are free. There was a survey done of New York City bus riders that showed the cost of a ride was 7th on people's priorities for the bus, right above.
Yeah. So he now to be forward, now he literally says, how does it matter? People don't even care. So why do you care? If no one cares, why would you touch that? He literally breaks his own argument. He does it smugly by showing data. People don't care how much the bus costs. Yeah, 2 reasons why. They don't pay. We have massive people not paying because they decided this is the brilliance of New York State, of New York City. Well, paying takes time. I'm not joking. So if we don't pay there, the buses will be faster. Okay, that actually makes at least logical sense, right? I get the logical sense. I do. I get that piece. Logically, that makes sense. If people aren't paying there, then we get to, go faster. Okay, so they said, let's have them pay at this kiosk thing. So we spent billions of dollars building new kiosks to pay stuff, and then you get on, and it's a trust system now. So you're supposed to pay before you get on. So there's no way to take money or pay when you're there. So now what if you do? You have to pay cops to go around and check people's tickets randomly on the bus. I'm not joking. Some of you are like, that's insanely dumb. That's insanely stupid. But that's what we do now in New York. So of course, most people don't pay. Because what's going to happen if some guy catches you? You happen to see a guy, you get off at the next stop when he gets off and pay then so you don't get caught. Or you get some kind of ticket which you ignore. That's insanely dumb. So if that's how it should work, do it for the subways too then. Oh, you didn't do it for the subways, did you? You didn't do it for the subways, did you? Because it's dumb. It was a grift, another way of building out more stuff. What we do for the subway? We made easier ways to pay using the Omni card, which was stupid, the Metro card, which was stupid. We found more and more dumb ways because now you know what you can do? Tap your credit card. Done. So why do we put Omni card, which we put in New York City? Why do we put the Metro card? Colossal wastes of time and energy, but the subways still suck and people still die on them, but we worry about grift, grift, grift. It's not underfunded. It is exactly over grifted. That is an accurate thing. Thank you for that, by the way. That's a perfect thing. It's over grifted. People don't care how much it costs. They care wait times, crowding, violence, things like that. They don't care about it. Overcrowding is a problem too. What happens when you have people who you don't like? To the point, and you will literally have, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but it happens all the time. You will literally have smelly people on the bus and you can't do anything about it. If subway, you walk away. Bus, you can't. And subways come every 5-10 minutes. Buses, not always. Depends on the bus. So you miss that bus, you screwed. Yes. No one cares about the fare. He says so. No one cares about the fare. So why make it free? He literally wrecks his own argument within the first 2 minutes. And he's all smug. Of course he is. Yes. All righty. Let me keep going down here. All right, grab this and here we go.
Cleanliness. So I want to answer two questions. Why would we want to make buses and mass transit in general not just cheap, but free? And even if we think it's a great idea, how do you pay for it? And not just in New York, but anywhere and everywhere.
There we go.
My name is Spencer Snyder, and this is Fast and Free Buses.
There we go. He's going to show you how to do fast and free buses. Yes.
So I've had the wonderful experience many times of waiting for the bus, riding the bus, and then figuring out if it would have just been faster to have walked. Because it turns out the average bus speed in the city is 7.9 miles per hour, which means that if you're running late for something and it's important, you should consider literally running for it instead of taking your chances on the bus. To demonstrate how slow the bus is, Zohran and other
So now he's going to show how bad it is. He's going to show how bad it is.
City leaders raced the 34th Street crosstown bus and beat the bus by 2 blocks. That particular bus crawls down the street at 5.5 miles an hour. And not to put too fine a point on this, but in July, a man in the UK set the Guinness record for fastest 100-meter crawl. He finished in just under 40 seconds. There's no reason that crawling shouldn't be included in Olympic track and field, because you want to talk about athleticism. This guy crawling at 5.65 miles per hour, he out-crawled a New York City bus. And what happens when the bus is that slow and unreliable is people don't take it. Or you're stuck with it and it's just a really unpleasant feature in your life.
Which is why most people who are wealthy don't take the bus. Yes. So make it free. What? You get that? Make it free. That's his answer. Did anyone say it's too expensive? I didn't hear that. No, not at all.
But I think the bus should be faster than even the most elite crawler.
Of course
and
he should.
Part of making buses faster is things like painting more bus lanes and expanding signal priorities so that the bus's green light is different from everyone else's green light. But look, no one's debating whether the buses should be fast. That's
Okay. Everything he just said, New York City has already done and did years ago. It still sucks. So he's acting like that's how you do it. We've already done it. The things he's out of, we should just do these things. New York City has already done. That's why he showed pictures of that. That was New York City. Why? We've done it. There are special bus lanes. Already done. We prioritize buses. Already done. We got them tandem buses. That's two buses together. Already done. We got the special lights. Already done. Yet that shit he talked about was last year. So we just do all these things. We've done them. And they suck. It didn't change a thing. Nothing.
That's not why you're here. You want to know how the buses, or any transit for that matter, could be free. And
Yes.
why would you make it free if that's not what most people are worried about?
Yes. So far, everything he's done is useless. And again, Crystal and friends said, let's give this guy money and have him come on our channel. What are you guys thinking? I know what you're thinking. The channel is just becoming another TYT. Crystal and friends is becoming TYT Jr. And like Sagar is becoming like the token kind of right-leaning guy-ish, kind of, who gets beat up by Crystal. Have you seen the recent debates where Crystal just talks over him the entire time? He just stands there. And then you look at the comments underneath it, and it's just how Sagar's bad and how Crystal's awesome. That's all. It's almost like they just, yes, Crystal's awesome, Sagar's so dumb, Sagar's so bad. That's the entire thing. Yes.
Well, it does take a long time for dozens of people to all
There's the Omni one. Yes.
pay their fare. So the time a bus spends at each stop does go down when you don't have to do that.
Not when you have OmniPass. You just pop it, move on. Credit card, move on. Don't want to move on. Done. That's how the subways work. Good enough for the subways, not the bus. Grift, grift, grift.
That is one way the fast part and the free part can be intertwined. But okay, so why make it free?
There's a
Okay.
very strong case for making all public transport free, actually.
There's a strong case to make all, and this is a professor of economics. Let me repeat that. She is a professor of economics. There's a strong case to make all of this shit free. This is economics. Sort of teaching, University of Massachusetts. Maybe your kids shouldn't go to college.
Both subways and buses, metro systems in general. And that's really because the purpose of a large part of
Yeah.
the urban mass transit system is, number one, to reduce congestion and reduce traffic on the streets.
Sure.
Number two, to make transport affordable for workers, for ordinary people who have to travel for their daily needs.
I think both of those things are true. She's not wrong with the goal. It was a great goal. I love those goals. I'm not mad at her for having those goals, right? Hey, let's make it to where it's affordable for the average worker. Love that idea. That's great. And let's make it to where we have less congestion. Also, awesome. Who's going to figure that out? Bureaucrats who have no vested interest in ever making things work ever, option one, which she wants, or a privatized market that will make money if it gets people to take the bus. See, if no one takes the bus, as he said, no one's taking it. Blah, 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 blah. We're losing money. Okay, and the government's being punished how? Oh, wait, it's not. It's not being punished. What's happening is the government's giving it more money. That's what it is. The government's giving it more money. That's what's happening. So their failure means more money. So why would they succeed? The incentives are for them to fail, therefore they fail. The incentives of grifting is to build new shit that does nothing, which is what they do throughout this entire city. So they literally spent, and again, if you live in the city, Mike Voss is watching. I know he's in the city. He sees it. They spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars on making the subways prettier. I'm not joking. The switches aren't fixed. The problem with New York City subways is old switches that are over 100 years old. Again, not making this up. That's the biggest problem is switches that are 100 years old. We don't fix those. We make it pretty. That's what we do. Make it pretty. Yes. And more elevators. We spent millions upon millions of dollars putting elevators into subways. Now, I'm not against elevators. I'm not. We need accessibility. Accessibility to a shitty system. Or you make the system better, which more people use it, so you have more money, so you can afford to put in elevators. We didn't do that. We just went into debt for elevators. We put a debt into elevators, and then we still have a shitty system. So you get to go up an elevator without having to get in the sub, well, go upstairs. True, to wait for a shitty system. Mike's right there. Larry's telling no lies about the subways. Yes, Mike knows. Him and I both live in the same city. We see this shit. We've been watching this shit for years. And she's going, good, a good argument. No, there isn't. There's an argument. It's a terrible argument. So you can say there is an argument. Yes, there is an argument. It's just not a good one. And she'll give this. Go ahead.
And for everyone in general. And number three, because it really does have a disproportionate positive impact on the relatively poor, on women, and on
because women and poor, and tell me people of color, go ahead.
Others who often do not actually travel or travel much less because of the affordability issue.
Okay, so you could make it affordable. And if you notice what she just said, we have to make it affordable. When they took the survey of people who ride the bus, that survey wasn't of random New Yorkers. People who ride the bus, price was not an issue. So she's saying, we got to put elevators in. Who's talking about elevators? Nobody, but we got to put them in. Okay, no one's complaining, but we got to put them in. Why? Because people want elevators. No, they don't. Well, I want them because I want a virtue signal. Oh, you want a virtue signal. People aren't complaining about the price. We see it right there. That's not the issue. He said it up front. They don't take the bus because it's slow, because it's unreliable, and because it's crowded. That's what they care about. No one was complaining about the fees. Nobody was. Well, not nobody, but relatively. I'm exaggerating, but relatively, that's the case. And that's been a problem forever. Someone asked, this happened with both the bus system and the subway system, both cases in New York City. The New York City private companies wanted to raise their fees. If I remember right, for the sub, I think it was a nickel to a dime or something like that. As soon as that happened, immediately, the government stepped in. Can't do that. Oh, public safety, whatever, and started taking over the system. I'm not joking. That's what they use a price hike as a reason to take it over. When the buses came, they didn't do that right away. What they did was and people ask, how did it happen? What was better when the buses were privatized? Well, they worked better. They were cleaner. People cared about them. They had nicer bus drivers. It mattered. Why? Because it was privatized companies. It was wrong. They're responsible. That's what was happening. So when the city took over, well, again, same idea. The buses were like, we need to raise prices or do this, whatever the case may be, and change things. But the government wanted to control. Unions were a big piece. They wanted to make sure all the drivers were unionized. They wanted to make sure that the prices stayed low. So what they started doing was telling them what price controls. Started doing World War II. During the 40s, they started putting price controls because price controls always work. Another thing this idiot also said, he thinks price controls work. We'll just use price controls. So price controls. So what has to happen? The bus companies can't survive, so they rely upon public subsidies. So the city has to pay the bus companies and subsidize them. That was happening in the 40s and 50s in New York City. The city was subsidizing the bus companies. When a city subsidized the bus companies, the city control you. Well, they have nothing but bad policies. So the buses get worse. So the city keeps supplementing. So the buses get worse. So the city just takes them over. Yes, that's what actually happened. Every single time. The government stepped in, made shit worse, and then blamed them, and then started paying them to make up for the problem that they caused, and then said, see, you suck, and took over. That literally happened with our bus and subway system here in New York City. And this guy doesn't say that. Where did he talk about that? Nowhere. Didn't say a word about that. Didn't say a word because his assumption is, of course, the government must run it. Doesn't have to. Doesn't have to. Massimo says, how can the buses be crowded if nobody's using them? Because they're crowded during rush hour. Rush hour, they're very crowded. That's true. Not rush hour, not so much. And they're crowded with the people who are often, maybe often is the wrong word, who are too often, that maybe is the right phrase, too often people who actually don't have jobs, if you know what I mean. But they like being around during that time. So I hope that makes sense.
Maybe you're thinking, well, wait a minute. A transit system doesn't have to be free to be good. If the buses were
True.
fast and reliable, it would reduce congestion and all those other things without it being free.
Yes. Yes, that's literally what I'm saying. And what used to be true. Yes, to all of that. Okay. Why are we having this video?
So Why can't we just make a program to sign people up for reduced fares if they need that?
Why could we just do that then? Why can't we just do that?
Can be really cumbersome and complicated to
Oh, geez, another economic. And this is City University of New York. Why does anybody go to college for economics? You get people like these knuckleheads saying stupid shit. What's he going to say?
administer these things. And secondly, a lot of people fall through the cracks. I think whenever you look at one of these income tested programs, you see that a lot of people who ought to be eligible for it are not actually getting it.
So in New York City,
Okay. So some people who are eligible aren't getting it. Okay, that could be a problem. I agree. But it's not that it's that hard. How do I know that? When I was a kid in the 70s, I'm giving my age away. And Mike knows this too. He was a kid here in the 70s too. If you remember, Mike remembers this, used to have a bus pass. Schools just gave them out. Bus pass. You show your bus pass. It was, when I was little, it was color-coded for every month, I think. That's what it was. But I don't know what it is now. But you use the bus pass. And they show you the bus pass, and you go on the bus, and you go to school on the bus. Yes, you took the regular bus to school. You walked to school. You take a school bus. There was no school bus system. I mean, it might be now, but it wasn't one when I was a kid. There was no school bus system in New York City. You didn't have that. They give you a bus pass, and you went on a city bus. And you went to school on a city bus. Yes, I was like 7, 8, went to school on a city bus. It's fine. I used to walk to school when I was real little, because my first elementary school was walkable distance. My second one was kind of walkable, but I could take a bus too. So I'd go up there, take my bus pass, and go on. Every month you do bus pass. Somehow 8-year-olds can figure this shit out, but these other people can't. And I go, wait a minute, Larry. Some of these people, they may have mental issues. True, possible. They may be elderly. True, possible. But they still have a connection to the city in some way, shape, or form, either through services they're granted. While they have those people, just give them bus passes. Can be done. Problem solved. He makes it, well, some people can't. So therefore, it's all bad. Did he tell you how many? Because it isn't many at all. He just says that. And now you got to feel sorry for all the people who can't handle it. Again, this is no different than Kathy Holt going, black kids don't know what computers are. It's insulting to people who happen to not be wealthy. So now, because you're not wealthy, you're now stupid. You can't figure out how to get a goddamn bus pass, even though when I was 8, I can get a bus pass. A 7, 8-year-old kid can figure it out, but because you're poor, you can't. Or because you're black or Hispanic, you can't. Or because you're old, you can't. That's what he's trying to say. I don't need to be saved, white man. It's okay. Leave me alone. I'll be fine. I'll figure out how to get my bus pass. I'll figure out how to work my computer. I'll figure out how to swim. I'll figure out all these things. I don't need your help. I appreciate it. Walk away, please. Give me a bus system that I can use. So I need. And with all of that, with what he said, all these things are a problem. I got you. They're all a problem. But still not number 1. Not even number 2. Not number 4. People still aren't complaining about this. They keep pushing the righteousness of free buses. Free buses aren't a benefit. Free buses are righteous. This is a massive, expensive, broken virtue signal that will solve no problem. Let me repeat that. This is a massive, expensive virtue signal that will solve no problem. Literally, the bus riders are not asking for help. They're not. They're not asking for help.
We already have a program like that. It's called Fair Fares, and it offers half off fares. And
look at that. We got fair fares, half off fares. So we got it. What's your problem, brother? We got this already.
For the reasons you just heard, you shouldn't be surprised to learn that only 33% of eligible city residents are enrolled in Fair Fares.
So 33% of eligible residents are enrolled in Fair Fares. Okay, so most of them don't use the bus. He just said only 5% do. So if 33% of people who are eligible use it, that might be the only group of people who have it. It could be 100% of the people who use the bus. That's possible. Could be. He doesn't say that, though. See, he doesn't say that. Not just that. Even with only 33% of eligible people enrolled in this Fair Fares magical thing, know what? The people are not complaining about the fare. So even if only 1/3, even if that's true, they're not complaining. So why do you keep doing it? He keeps saying, well, why would you do it? He He's throwing stuff at you to make it sound like it's a problem. He wants to create a problem when there is none. Free is not the problem. Shitty service is the problem. So how is he going to fix the shitty service? He's not. He is fixing a problem that does not exist. It's like me going, we got to paint all the buses blue. Why? Everybody wants a blue bus. What? We're going to paint all of them blue. Yeah, but the buses are shitty. But they aren't blue. Yes, they're not blue. Let me show you. A stat that shows how people want newly painted buses. Wait a minute, that's like number 55 on the list. Yeah, but it's on the list. Yeah, and then even saying blue. I know, but we got to make them blue. Only 1/3 of people who've seen this have even said that they want a blue bus. What? This is what he's doing, and he's going to fight to have blue buses. Who gives a shit? He's solving a problem that doesn't exist.
And that a New Yorker who works full-time at the minimum wage, $16 per hour, makes too much to qualify for the program.
Okay, but nobody cares. So he's validating an issue that nobody cares. Again, this is all virtue signaling. Well, minimum wage is terrible. So because minimum wage and because this, we have to make them free. Massive virtue signal.
A lot of people who would be eligible either don't know about it or don't sign up because it's just too big a hassle.
And
it's a hassle to sign up for this thing. It's a hassle. See that? So if it's a hassle, let's assume it's a hassle. It's not, but let's say it is. It's a terrible hassle. Oh, terrible hassle. Then make it not a hassle. Problem solved. Problem solved. Just go online and press some buttons. And for most things in New York State, because we love making up jobs, I'm not joking, we will hire somebody to walk you through this. I wish I was joking. If you are in New York City, you know, if you call in and you get someone on the phone, they will walk you through anything. That's literally their job, is to walk you through shit. And there'll be at least 3 different languages they can walk you through stuff in. I'm not joking. We pay, in fact, not just that, we pay, New York City pays private companies to do that. These are the ultimate grifters companies. So you get some people, and sometimes people aren't even in New York City. They're like in Philippines or something. I'm dead serious. So you call up whatever, New York City, blah, blah, blah department and go, I don't understand how to use this thing. And they go, no problem. You're on your computer now. Let me walk you through it. And let me tell you what to do. And they'll walk you through it. So I don't believe it's a hassle, but for sake of argument, it's a hassle. I think he's lying. I don't think it's a hassle at all. Sake of argument, he's lying. Call New York City. Call 311. That's what we use here. Say, I don't know how to get on the fair program. I will guarantee anybody money, you bet, there'll be somebody who will walk you right through it. That's how New York City works. We love to hire people to do shit like that. Guaranteed. So it's not a problem, but if it is, so make the buses free? No, if it is, make it easier. We already have people who do this. And whether it is or not, this isn't a problem. People aren't complaining about the fares. So literally, he's been doing this for 5 minutes, talking trash, trying to say, see how smart I am? And he still hasn't shown me that the fares are a problem in the first place. And then this idiot will say something stupid, of course, but it's okay. He's a professor, so he's a associate professor. So I guess he's supposed to be smart. He's got glasses and a beard. I guess it makes him smart, does it?
Creates a high effective tax as you get out of eligibility for these things.
That's a high tax. See, because you're out of eligibility, it's a high tax. How is it a high tax? Because you pay more? That's what he just said. Because you will pay more than the fair thing. So half fare. So the fare is $2.75. So you're going to pay $1.30 more. His words, that's a high tax. That's what he said. It's a high tax. $1.30 more. And not even more. You won't get that discount. Now, if that's a lot of money, and maybe it is, maybe $2.50 every day is expensive for you. Okay, I buy it. I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe it is. I don't know your issue. To the bus twice a day. You pay your extra $2.70, whatever that is. Okay, that's a big deal for you. No worries. No shade. Is that not enough for you to call up 311 and go, hey, can you get me on that program? Of course you could. Of course you could. But I'm going to ask the same thing. If that's a big problem, why isn't that even in the top 3 complaints people have? It isn't, because people aren't complaining about it. And to my point earlier, If you don't want to pay on the bus, you just don't pay. I'm not joking. The bus system loses. I mean, oh my God, how much it loses. The MTA, the subway system, loses over $800 million a freaking year. $800 million a year to fare evaders. The bus got at least half of that, if not close to it. So another hundreds of million dollars being lost because people aren't paying, and that's how it works. That's the piece that drives me crazy. So yes. Oh my God, Mike remembers. He goes, oh God, the different colors each month. Yes, I remember. Yes, that's what it was. Yes, that's what it was. Absolutely. So yeah, all right, I'm gonna grab a couple of these here. Okay, yeah, Mike already knew there was a place there. Okay, Mike has a couple pieces because Mike's here with me, so I know he remembers some of these things and he can see it, right? He's been watching the same stuff. You know, it's embarrassingly bad. This whole system is bad. People aren't paying. They walk in and walk out. It's nothing but bad. All right. And he has no answers.
You know, you get your income goes up a little bit and you lose your tuition assistance and you lose your reduced fare transit.
Tuition assistance? What?
And so on. So it's really effectively imposing a really high tax on people who are just sort of above the poverty.
So if you don't get the benefits the government gives you, you are now highly taxed. Because you know what J.W. Mason cares about? High taxes. No, he doesn't. Shut up. No, he doesn't.
So the counter to all that is just make transit free at the point of.
No, that's literally not the counter. You just made that up. Literally made that up. He just made that up.
Service. That way, no one ends up making just too much money to get help. People.
Greg says, thank you for being a member, Greg. Is the biggest problem people are facing in New York City high-priced bus fares? No. What about people who don't take the bus? No. People who don't take the bus don't care. And people who do take the bus, what was it on that list? Number 6 on the list? It's number 6 on the list of problems. So people who take the bus don't give a shit. And people who don't take the bus don't give a shit. And his answer, well, the counter is make it fair. Remember, making it free is one important thing. It is a massive, expensive virtue signal. That's all it is. Nothing else. This is a massive virtue signal.
People don't fall through the cracks. The government doesn't need to study how people fall through the cracks, and I don't need to talk about how people fall through the cracks.
You don't need to now.
Witnesses say that she refused to pay for her bus ticket, and that's when the driver asked her to get off. As you can see, things got heated moments after.
Listen to this horseshit. By the way, that's not New York. That's California.
Transit can create opportunity for conflict because
see, paying for shit. This is what he just said. That can create an opportunity for conflict. Well, I don't want violence, so everything should be free. That's the problem. See? That's your problem, Bronner. You like people fighting. Why are you so mean? Why do you want women to be beat up? That's your problem, misogynist. That's your problem, Bronner. That's you. Because listen to what he says.
Off. As you can see, things got heated moments after.
Transit can create opportunity for conflict because as it turns out, a lot of assaults against bus operators happen at the fare box.
See, the problem is people are fighting at the fare box. They're beating up the bus drivers at the fare box. So what's the answer? Let's see. You could maybe arrest them. No. You could maybe have more security. No. Get rid of the fare box. Problem solved. Just get rid of the fare box. Then there'll be no more violence on the subway. I can't believe he said that. He believes this. The bullshit this guy says, and Crystal and friends put him on their channel. Utter horseshit. He has to try to find a reason to make it fair. He has to. I'm sorry. He has to find a reason to make the free buses valuable. It's not. I've shown you this. It's not. So now he's like, well, because violence, see? So you know what else happens sometimes? When people want to pay for groceries, it's a chance for violence right there. And most of the time, when it comes to people beating up clerks, they beat up clerks at the point of purchase. So why don't we give everything away for free and there'll be no more violence? That would solve. See that? That's the issue. I've solved all. Larry Sharpe for Galactic Overlord. I will make everything free and there will be no more violence. See how that works? Because no point of purchase. Yeah. Sadly, this guy actually says that. He said this guy's dead serious.
But when there's no fare, assaults go down. In fact,
see, If there's no fare, salts go down. Why are we paying for shit? All you people who want to make money off of stuff and like get paid, dummy, you just like violence. What's wrong with you? You just want violence. Capitalism is about violence, clearly. There we go. See? Capitalism, violence. He linked them. That's the answer. I wish I was joking. This guy's serious. People will have these arguments all day, all night.
In fact, during a free bus pilot program in New York City, assaults on bus operators dropped by 38.9.
So now, the reason why stuff should be free is because assaults on bus operators will drop, because that's the other massive problem that we have in New York. One of them is people who don't take the buses care about, I don't know. And then this one is because, the huge, massive amounts of assaults on bus drivers. That's just destroying this. And you know what? Now I'm going to say, how many bus drivers are assaulted in New York City? I don't even know. I'm going to figure this out. Is this that big of a problem? Maybe it is a massive thing I don't even know about. Maybe it's a massive thing. All right. 98 a year. There we go. 98. And 90, Jesus Christ. 95% of them were in 2020 were COVID related. All right. So yeah. Okay, there were 98. So yeah. So about 98% of the people, and it was because of the biggest issue they said right here, that this is according to Google, the biggest issue for them was actually mask mandates. That's according to Google. So you do what you want with that. That's the biggest. Another one is societal tensions. Now that's according to Google. I don't know if that's true, but according to Google, it is mostly because of mask mandates and social tensions, not because cash, not because money. Money's not an issue, according to Google. You may know something I don't know, not a case. So instead, what do we got? 100 people are assaulted out of 8.5 million. So what should we do? Make the buses free. And the reason why they're assaulted, again, according to Google, is social tensions and mask mandates. So let's make free buses. None of this makes any sense. This is utter garbage. This is embarrassing. This really, like, someone should just, why am I the only guy taking this and trashing this? Jesus Christ.
A key way conflicts start is with fare evasion. But if there's no fare evasion.
He's not wrong. If there's no fare evasion. He's right. In fact, so if you just go in the stores and go, hey, there's no price on these items, then there's no theft. He's right. He's not wrong. But look how he's looking at you, so smug. He's looking at you so smug. See? If everything was free, there'd be no reason to fight over money. True. He's not wrong. This guy's a genius. Let's make him the mayor.
The other thing that free transit at the point of service does is it makes short rides a viable option. A ride that you might have foregone because it's not quite worth the $3, now you will take. And where this is especially important is for people with disabilities, people who might find it difficult.
Okay, people with disabilities. Okay, this is another all of this is straw man bullshit. Number one, if a short ride, as he said, takes a longer time, you can walk faster. We want people in a city walking. The other brilliant economics professor we saw said they would like less congestion. So I'd like more people walking. So if it is a short piece, we should be doing this, right? We should let people walk if it's short. Now, if they're disabled, first off, New York City has Access-a-Ride. You can get Access-a-Ride if you want to. 2, there's that program that we talked about. You can get half off. You can get half off for your fares easily. And if you don't know about it, why isn't your worker helping you out? Why isn't your assistant helping you out? Why isn't your doctor telling you about this? Make it easier to get. Have a doctor hand it out. The schools handed out bus passes. Have doctors hand out. These people all have handicap stickers. Somehow they all get handicap stickers. They all get that. They can figure that one out. So if you can figure out handicap stickers, you can figure out, how do I get my piece that I need? Of course. Yes. All righty. Let me keep going down here. All right. Mike says, Larry, this program and the Breaking Points video are simply to make rich progressives in Soho Upper West Side feel good, doing something for the poors. At its core, it's insulting and vicious. Yes, it is insulting. That's why I'm so bothered by it, Mike. That's why I did it, because I'm you read me perfectly. I'm bothered by this. I'm bothered by it because it's a massive way of trying to virtue signal. It's a massive virtue signal. That's all it is.
To travel by sidewalk the extra 10 or 20 blocks. New York does have a cap on how many times a single card can be charged, but if that cap isn't there, it ends up being a tax basically for being.
But it is there. Well, if it wasn't there, he's grasping for straws. He just wants people to buy this horse shit so badly. This guy is always full of shit. He's always full of shit. All his stuff is utter garbage. And he just keeps talking. It's all full of shit.
Being disabled. Or you can create some kind of program to sign up for, but then there are all the aforementioned problems with that.
There's no problems with that. Or make a better program. Somehow 8-year-olds can do it. You can make a program that anyone could have. He's just, well, yeah. If the government is so bad at this, if it is, why would you want to do it more? Why would you say, well, it's bad, so let's just make a free bad system? Why? Massive virtual signal.
Okay, so all that's cool. How do we actually pay for?
Okay, he didn't express the most important pieces, like the fast piece didn't. He didn't give you a reason to make it free. He did not. He threw a bunch of shit at you, but now how to pay for it. Okay, fine. Now, even though we shouldn't, doesn't matter, how are we going to pay for it?
All of these free buses. Wait, sorry. I'm getting some breaking news regarding what I teased in the intro. Okay, it looks like the New York Post is reporting that it's already failed. Apparently, Mamdani's socialist proposals, including free buses in the 5 boroughs and Soviet-style city-owned grocery stores, are now 0 for 2. Well, first.
Okay, this is the part that I love. This is a very good thing. This is, and you see this often. It's actually very good that he does this. What they try to do is they kind of show you how it failed and how they're wrong. This way, you can't bring it up later. That's what they do. See, they say that, but here is my way around. And they act as if they are actually fighting the argument. Remember, the first thing he did was he showed you, see, people don't care about the fares. Then he just kept throwing stuff at you as if he was explaining why people actually do care about the fares. They don't. But he brought it up so that you can now be like, oh, he dismissed you. See, you can't, look, I already brought this up. Yes, but you never addressed it, asshole. You never addressed it. You gave it bullshit. He's doing the same thing now. Well, see, they've said it's failed. Then here's to pretend like he's going to address it. He won't.
I did make a video all about the city-owned grocery stores and how the Soviet comparison doesn't.
And I shot that one to pieces. If you have a chance, please watch mine on that. I talked about the grocery stores. Please go check my video on that. I then show how full of shit he was through that entire piece. He literally made stuff up, lied, misled, as he always does. So please go back, check mine out. I shot that one to pieces. I'm shooting this one to pieces.
Work, link below. Second, they didn't even give it one of their charmingly stupid puns, like all's fair and bus.
And here we go. He just dismisses. They didn't do a stupid pun because the Post, that's not a real, newspaper, is it? So you have to ignore everything the Post says. This is my thing I tell you about dismissal. So because he can't fight the argument, he dismisses the paper. Dismisses it. So don't listen to them. They're the Post. They're obviously wrong on everything.
War or something like that. I don't know. You get the idea. So during the pandemic, a bunch of cities made their buses free, including Kansas City. They funded it with COVID relief money, but now that money's gone.
So they funded it with government money, right? Which is the problem for all of it. Let's just get federal money. That is the answer for everything. We'll just have Uncle Joe and now Uncle Donnie write us a check. We'll be fine. It was Uncle Joe. Now it's Uncle Donnie. Write us a check. We'll be fine.
And they didn't have a sufficient funding source to replace it.
Yes.
And now fares are coming back. So I guess that means it all failed.
Yes, that's what it means. I love how he's like, I guess that means it all fails. Yes, that's what it means. This guy will say something dumb, I'm sure. Go ahead.
We're saying zero fare failed. We're only saying zero fare failed for the buses. It didn't.
It just failed for the buses. What are we talking about? Oh, the buses. How can they? Literally, we're talking about the buses. When they say zero fare failed, it just failed for the buses. Yes, we're talking about the buses. Correct. Well, it didn't fail for the space program. This ain't the space program, idiot. This is the buses. It didn't fail for going to war. We're not going to war. It's buses.
Failed for the streetcar. They have said numerous times that the streetcar will always be free.
That's right. Kansas City has a streetcar line that
This is
is
true.
free. They used
Yes.
to have a whole streetcar network, but just like everywhere else, it got ripped out in the 50s. But
Yes, it did rip out. What happened in the 50s, though? Got ripped out. He's right. Ripped out in the 50s. What happened then? The government took it over. That's what happened. He never mentions that part. During World War II, price controls destroyed all this shit because price controls always destroy shit. But socialists like him, and I'm going old school socialists like him who want centralized control and price controls, always wreck everything, always, every time. 100%. 100% wreck shit. 100% of the time. And he's like, see, that's when it got you whipped out. Why? Price controls from World War II. Yes.
now it's back and it's slightly problematic. So why is the new streetcar free, but the bus is going to cost again?
Why is the streetcar free? I wonder why. What do you think would be, why would a streetcar be? What would you guess if you were to guess why? Streetcar is free, but a bus is not. You think people are taking streetcars to work? Is that what you think? No. We didn't take streetcars to. It's touristy. Yeah, it is. Of course it is. People like streetcars. It's touristy. Where you going to go? You go shopping, the touristy spots. Yeah. Yeah.
It goes from one affluent part of
Bingo.
downtown to another affluent part of the midtown.
It's
Yes.
for a different audience.
Free transit signals that a location is thriving. And no one is saying that their streetcar shouldn't be free, but it's pretty wild that
Yes, you kind of are saying that. That's when that guy goes affluent to affluent, what he means is, why are these rich people getting free stuff? He does mean that, but that's fine.
the city is insistent on keeping the streetcar free at the point of service, but not the buses.
Yep.
And that comes down to funding and priorities, because
Yes.
for the streetcar, they have multiple funding measures,
They
such
do.
as
There is a special downtown district for transit, about a third of a mile on either
Mhm.
side of the streetcar
Yes.
route, that any purchases, any sales, there's going to be a sales tax on that.
also people
So the local people in the stores who are the customers, who get the customers who make money from it, pay for it. Huh. That's weird. It's weird how the private market had an answer for that. So the people there who have the stores, they don't mind. Why? Because it brings them customers. So they're paying for it. Isn't that weird? Huh. These people are paying for it because it's bringing them customers. It's almost like it's marketing. It's almost as the private sector found an answer and a way to pay for it. The funny part is the government stepped in. Why did the government step in? To get their cut. There was no need for government in this one. The government's there just to get their cut. If the government walked away from it tomorrow, if the government said, we don't want to fund this anymore, what would they do? They create a private corporation that would pay for the streetcars and it would work. But the government's like, this is going to work and make money. So wait a minute. We need to get our cut. So we're going to overlap a government agency, make it a sales tax, take our cut, and then pay for the streetcars. That's what they're going to do. So they found a corporate way of paying for it, which is what I've been saying for the past 7 years. That's what I'm always saying. If you incentivize companies to pay for shit, they will pay for shit. It's how it works. Incentivize them to. And in this case, they did. And the businesses are paying. Why? It's advertising. It's marketing. That's what it is. Yes, mastermind hour, nicely done. It's almost like streetcar is advertising. Yes, a lot of beat me to it. Correct. And people are mad at me all the time. Larry, why do you want to do this marketing stuff? Because it works. Here's another example of me being right yet again. Yet again. God damn it, I get tired of being right.
Really want to fund the buses.
We do have a sales tax.
Why would you want to fund the buses if the buses don't bring you customers? Why would you do that?
3/8 sales tax that got, I believe, in 2023, over 70% approval from voters at the ballot box. So it's very popular. People want to fund our buses.
They also have a separate mass transit fund.
About a third.
Okay, you have all these funds, but then you just said people want to fund the buses. Well, then why don't the buses work? Why don't the buses work? That doesn't make any sense.
Of our funds for the public mass transit wasn't actually going towards the buses. It was going towards road improvements and things like that.
And
oh, wait a minute. So they paid. So the people said, yeah, we could pay for the buses. Then the government took that money and it went someplace else so cronies could build roads. That's what he just said. Right? Did he just say that? So wait a minute. So what you're saying is if the government runs it, it'll be grifted away. Yes. So why would you want the government to run it? The one thing that's being paid for by the private sector in the whole goddamn city is working, but this isn't working. They're not doing it right. They're not doing it right. Andrea says, so buses don't use roads. No, but that's supposed to be, Andrea, supposed to be a separate fund. That's what he said. What he said was they're supposed to have like the government fixes the roads, whatever it doesn't, because it's a government, it's ineffective, it doesn't work. But supposedly government fixes the roads, right? So then this special tax, which the people agreed to, was supposed to go just to fund the buses. Well, the government, of course, is incompetent, doesn't work, steals money. It's what it does, it grifts. And it had some people who said, well, we can't afford buses, but we'd love to take some money to fix roads. So they took the money, the bus money, and put it on the roads. He just admitted that. They just took the bus money that people voted for and put it on the roads. So money told the people who gave the money, go to hell. We're gonna fix the roads. Even though they're supposed to have, Andrea, separate road money. But they pissed that away too. Why? Because the government, it doesn't work. So what does this idiot want? More government. They keep saying things that prove they are wrong, but they just keep doubling down because it sounds right, because virtue signal. Because it sounds right, because virtue signal. It doesn't work. So you could change it.
Also keep in mind that fares only made up between 7 and 12% of the budget. But instead of finding that money elsewhere, like they did with the streetcars, bus riders are going to have to pay for it themselves.
See, the bus riders got paid for themselves because they couldn't find money someplace else. Wait, but they did. See, he is contradicting himself. You watch this. I didn't edit this at all. He literally said they did find another way. They did. He's lying. They didn't find another way. They did. He just said so. They found another way. The people said, we care about our bus system. We'd like to pay for it. They said that. Okay, great. So they raised this tax so people could pay for it. And they did. And the government said, great, thanks for the money. We're going to put it someplace else. Oh, is my camera off? There we go. Yeah, I'm jumping around so much, I'm screwing my camera up. So yes. So the people said, whatevs. And I was like, well, now they got to find another way. No, they found a way. Government's incompetent and screws it all up, as is always, every time. So why would you want more of that?
Now, would they make riders of the streetcar pay too?
Why would they do that? Okay, here's the issue. You want them to. Why? Because they supposedly have money, and money people should pay because they have money, because by default, they're bad because they have money, which makes them bad by default. And poor people are awesome because they're poor, which is not true. Some poor people are awesome, some aren't. Some rich people are awesome, some aren't. People are people. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It's irrelevant. But according to him, no, these rich people, they don't have to. Of course they don't have to pay because they're going to the stores. So are they actually paying? Yes, they're paying through a sales tax. They are. You just told me that. They're not paying dollars straight to the government. They are, but they're paying dollars through the store. So the store is paying sales tax. So they are paying for it.
The World Cup coming. If they were really trying to make money and try to make sure that we can, cut our costs and save, well, we got the World Cup coming to town. Why don't you charge all those rich folks who are going to take the streetcar? Oh,
see, charge the rich folks because we got to punish the rich folks to the streetcar. Oh, you rich people who go spend money, charge them. Don't instead help them to, of course, support local businesses. But here's the most important part, that Mr. Gray, who is a congressional candidate, you picked this guy for your thing, who couldn't do a video. He couldn't do a video. And he, by the way, congressional candidate doing this, got the picture with his best shirt. Ladies must love Miss Hartzell. Yes, Mr. Gray. Oh, I got you. I know ladies love that. You got your best shirt on. Nicely done, congressional candidate. I'm sure you'll be winning tomorrow. Any case, my point being, he's acting like he's virtue signaling too. These rich folks should pay. They should pay. Okay, Mr. Gray. Aren't they paying the sales tax? So they are paying. Everyone's happy there, right? They are paying. Aren't they? Yeah, he's just talking trash. Of course he is. Andrea says, not as good looking as Larry, though. True. He's a hottie, but not hot as me. Yes, it's true. Mastermind says, it's the chain that sells it. True. The chain's right there. That chain, like, he's got to be right. Look at that chain. That dude is so correct. That guy's, listen to him, Mastermind Hour. Look at that chain. That dude's got to be right. That dude has got to be right. No doubt.
No, we wouldn't dare do that.
So I think it's officially safe to say that the New York Post is 0 for 2 on.
Okay, it's not officially safe to say that at all. You literally just, he did exactly what I said. He said, here's the New York Post saying stuff. Now I'm going to say a bunch of stuff that isn't going to actually address that. And then I'm going to dismiss the New York Post, which is what he did. New York Post was exactly correct.
Attempts to take down Zohran's proposal. Better luck next time.
No. I've just declared victory. I love it. So you thought that I was dumb, but I'm going to tell you some stuff. 2 + 2 is 9. And after A comes F. Checkmate, libro. Done. That's basically what he just did.
Okay, so how does New York pay for it? Because this is going to cost.
Okay, yeah. Okay, finally. 10 minutes in. Nothing but garbage, lies, distraction, dismisses. That's all that was. Now, see? Okay, Shelly, you've been waiting all this time. He's going to tell you now. All right, Dave? He's going to tell you now. Listen up. Got the plan. All right, man. Have the chain guy tell us. Have him tell us. That'll be awesome. Have the chain guy come back on. He'll tell us. Then we'll believe him. I'm not so sure. Chain guy, bring the chain guy back on.
That's $600 million. So how are we
$600 million? You need that. $600 million. See that?
going to do it? Well, first, we are going to save some money in certain areas.
One thing
we're going to save money. Here's the best part about it. Every single time New York City has had a plan to save money, every single time it's worked, with the exception of never. With that exception, it has always worked. I mean, it's never worked. With the exception of never, worked every time. Everything we're going to save money on this has worked 0 times. But with the exception of never, works every time.
dramatically reduces administrative costs.
It reduces administrative costs because you know what New York never does? Administrative stuff. They told us that before too. And that's worked exactly. Never. Never. Why do you keep believing shit that never happens ever? That never happens ever. See, if we do that, then it'll work. Just if we just have all right. Minor threat. If we just have one more gulag, then we're gonna have that. So that's socialist utopia I've been telling you about. Just one more. I know we have 7, but 7 is not the right number. It's 8. When we have 8 gulags, then we will have utopia. So, I know the last 7 didn't work. I get it. And when we had 2, I told you 3. And when we had 3, I told you 4. When we had 4, I told you 5. When we had 5, I told you 6. When we had 6, I told you 7. Now we got 7. This time, no, 8. 8 gulags. This time it will work. 8 gulags is the number, okay? God, why don't you believe me? People are non-believers.
Okay, you don't have to have bus conductors checking everything.
You didn't have to have that before you got the stupid thing before. There was no requirement for bus conductors checking anything when you had the regular tap the button thing. When you had your Metro card. You didn't have it then. You added that. This is a problem that you created that now you're going to fix. See, that problem that we made, we can now fix that problem. So how does that lower administrators? Is that guy going to go away? No, you're going to have to do tickets or something. You're not firing him. New York City's going to stop firing those guys? Stop. Then none of them are getting fired. So this is what she's going to say. She's going to say, see, what will happen then is then they'll fire all those city workers. Because you know what New York City does very well? Fire city workers. No, they don't. They'll get sued or whatever. The union will go someplace else. There's not a goddamn dollar going to be saved. And she knows that. She doesn't care. This is all about virtue signaling. This is all about virtue signaling. She knows they're going to fire anybody. Anybody who's a conductor or whatever she calls that person, they're going to make them something else. Now they're going to go, whatever, work in MTA or be a bridge inspector or whatever. They'll do that. Of course. Stop. They're going to firing people. That's some bullshit.
Every person's ticket and so on. You don't have to have the whole paperwork and wherewithal or,
There's no paperwork now. It's electronically. Who doing paperwork? What planet is she on? What planet is she on? There's no paperwork now. It's all electronic. What are you talking about? Dave says 9 gulags and 2 re-education camps. Okay, maybe 9. Plain Nut 767 says only 8 gulags. Those are rookie numbers. I'm talking just for New York City. See, just New York. We could probably do 8 in New York City. Just New York City. Not around a whole lot more for the rest of the country. Just New York City. That's all.
electronic work that goes with all of that constant.
And look at her laughing so smugly. What I love is they're so full of shit and so full of themselves. And they laugh like, oh, you dumb people. Don't you know better? You know, nothing they've ever said has worked ever. And they're so smug and so, oh my God, I'm so smart. And nothing they've ever said has ever worked fucking ever. And they act like this.
Checking.
Like for New York Select buses, where you pay your fare before you get on the bus. But to battle fare evasion, they have people patrolling and checking that people paid their fare.
This was the whole point he was talking about earlier. Now he's shitting on his own idea. I said, you just tap your card. He goes, no, they had to pay. These dummies. Yeah, they did that. So there could not be fares on the bus. I guess you said because they were beating up bus drivers left and right every day to get their ass kicked. That's what you told me. You told me that they're beating up the bus drivers every day. So they had to get rid of the fare thingy so the bus drivers don't get killed. That's what you said. So they did it, and now you're mad at it. These dummies did this. And then this knucklehead before you, she says, well, now we can get rid of those people. You made them. These people, these checkers, conductors didn't exist before you made this dumb idea, which you should have never done. But why? You see those little kiosks? Somebody had to build all those kiosks. That was hundreds of millions of dollars that went to somebody's crony capitalism. That's what it was. That was cronyism. It's not capitalism, crony capitalism. That's cronyism. So someone's buddy got all those digs, those deals, built all those things, and solved nothing. Another colossal waste of money. The grift is so super strong in New York City. And now he's shitting on his own idea that he just championed 10 minutes ago. Remember, he's the one who said, he showed us, remember, he showed that picture of them 2 chicks fighting, right? Remember, he showed us that? And said, well, that's because they got to buy stuff. Well, don't buy stuff, and no one's fighting anymore. Weird. And by the way, I said that 98 got beat up. I don't understand how they got beat up when New York buses don't have that anymore. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Free fare obviously eliminates the need for that. And
eliminates that need, free fare. See that?
All of that enforcement goes to service a relatively small part of the budget anyway.
You know, about 15% of the cost of the bus service are coming from the fare box. It's the rest of it, 85%, is already coming from taxes. So
okay. Prior to the government taking over the bus system, prior to that, the bus system was somehow being paid by, it was private. Well, Larry, a private system can't work. Okay. For those you don't know, there are cities in the world with privatized systems, right? The subway system we talk about all the time is Japan, Tokyo. Private system. Yes. There's a Tokyo company that does that. Private system. Yes. So it's not like no one in the world does it. It can be done. And people love that system. I lived in Japan for 4 years. I mean, when they didn't like it, it did shut down. I don't know if it still does, but when I was there, the Tokyo system actually shut down, I think like midnight, 1 o'clock, whatever. It shut down, then reopened like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was shut down for like 4 hours or something like that. They would do maintenance. They would do maintenance like for like 4 or 5 hours at night. That was, again, I was in Japan many years ago. I don't know if it's still true, but back then that's what happened. You're hanging out in the late night, getting drunk in Roppongi. For those of you know what I'm talking about, that's what I'm talking about back in the day. And back there, you'd have to take a taxi home or whatever. You couldn't take the subway after a certain amount of time. So you wait till early in the morning when they come back on, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. You get really hammered all night and then go then. You can do that if you wanted to. But yeah. So this guy getting laughing. So you just come from taxes. So somehow now we have taxes plus fares, and we still can't get it right. I want you to think about that. We have taxes plus fares, and we still can't get it right. And what's their answer? Let the government keep running it. That's their answer. Government keep running it. It's insane.
From that point of view, free buses is not a radical departure from where we already are, especially because you can offset some of those costs by, again, not collecting fares. Not a big saving there, but, $40 or $50 million if you don't have to have those fare boxes on there anymore.
But
you made the fare boxes. This guy's from CUNY, so he's from New York City. He knows that's what happened. He was there when it happened.
You're going to have to raise revenue, and there's really just no way.
Okay, so now he's coming to see. There's no way. You got to raise revenue. He's finally coming. Okay, we've been on this for goddamn 12 minutes of garbage, but now he's going to tell us the real reason. I was kidding before. I was tease. Now the real reason come. Okay, come on, tell me, brother. What's up? Give me the real answer.
Around it, you got to tax wealth. And
see, you guys tax the rich because that always works. There we go. There we go. We finally got to this whole thing. It was 13 minutes of bullshit to finally go tax the rich. You should have just said tax the rich, man. Just say tax the rich. That's just what you wanted. Just say it. Homeboy with his chain, he was like, make the rich people pay. That's the answer. Make the rich people pay.
I know it's a little bit of a touchy issue because the super wealthy have gone to great trouble paying off politicians and convincing people that taxing the...
See, because those evil rich people, that's just blame the rich. It's always the
super
issue.
Wealthy is a bad idea. But look, you think CEOs are buying boats and expensive cars and $30 million apartments and stupid needle skyscrapers just so they can be like, oh man, they're raising my taxes by an amount I'll never actually feel. Well, I guess I'm just going to have to move my family and mistress and secret family over to...
See, he has to dismiss them all. Remember that. I always tell you, the left dismisses. So he has stupid needle this, and he's got a mistress, and he's a bad guy, and every evil person's terrible, blah, blah, blah. He has to dismiss them. He has to do that. That is their normal way. He doesn't have an argument, so he must dismiss and attack. That's all he can do.
Florida or Texas now.
Literally being done. Literally being done.
We've raised taxes on high incomes in New York, actually, a number of times in recent years, and people just don't leave.
The way that...
Okay. What a bunch of utter horseshit. That is demonstrably false. That is so false, I want to vomit. That guy should be fired from CUNY for saying some stupid shit like that. They don't leave. We lose 300,000 New Yorkers every year. Check the data. The IRS, government data said that New York State lost $20 billion due to migration. Due to migration. Because not only did the super wealthy leave, the billionaires, no. The wealthy in general leave. The people make $400,000 or $500,000 a year, still wealthy, but they leave too. Because they've decided that you're wealthy at $400,000 a year. That's what the government has decided. Biden said that. $400K a year or more, and you're super wealthy. Well, if you live in New York City, in Manhattan at $400,000 a year, you're doing well, but you're not wealthy. I don't mean to be mean. I'm just being fair. If you know how it is in New York City, in Manhattan, you're living good. You're not starving. You're living good, but you're not super wealthy. You take that $400K and go to Texas. Take that $400K and go to Florida. Take that $400K and go to Tennessee. You're living large. You're living large. And that's what they're doing. That's what's happening. They do leave The fact that he would say that is so insanely stupid, so demonstrably, truly false. Government numbers show it. New York State has been in the past for it's been about 10 years or so. We said in the recent past, yes, and that's when we started leaving. We are one of the most highest tax states, one of the most, and they keep leaving New York State like there's no tomorrow. New York State used to be the slowest growing state. We are now the fastest people leaving the state in the entire country. Number one, take that, California. Again, we rock you, California. People hate us more than they hate you. Take that. It is insane to say something so insanely stupid, utterly wrong, demonstrably true. Wow. Just wow.
The tax systems and the spending systems are structured today. The poor of New York are subsidizing the rich.
How insanely stupid is she? This is a professor. The poor are subsidizing the rich in New York City. She just said that. She said that. The poorest people in New York City pay no income tax. I'm not making that up. None. The poorest. She said the poorest is up in the rich. No income tax. None. The poorest in New York City, this is what she said, are not paying for health care. They're not. They're on either Medicare or Medicaid. That's a fact. That's not shit I'm making up. Do your own homework. She should know that. So they're not paying for their own health care. That's not a thing. Again, she said the poorest. The middle class are being slaughtered. That's true. But the poorest people are not paying for their own health care. Again, over 50% of all New York State people in the state are either Medicare or Medicaid. The poorest in New York City, all on that. The poorest people in New York City aren't paying for school lunches or school breakfasts. They're not paying for that. They're not paying for food for their kids. They're not. Their kids are not paying for the kids' health care. They're not. Healthy New York, whatever it's called. They're not paying for any of that. They're not paying at all. There's no way in the world that is even possible to say the very poor are subsidizing the very rich. It's utterly untrue. You cannot show me data that shows that. It's impossible. Could you say the middle class? Maybe. I could see that. Maybe. I could see that. Not the poor. I'm going to be calm. Mike, don't be mad at me. I'm chill. I'm breathing. That is so demonstrably, clearly a lie that both of them just said. And Crystal and Friends was like, let's put this out. You could do a simple Google search, a chat GPT check, I don't know, Bing, Grok, you pick. What both of them just said, utter and total lie, horseshit garbage. People are leaving New York in droves. The middle class and above are gone. And there is physically no way that the very poor are some of the very rich in New York City. That's not a thing. She made that up. None of that's true. Absolute garbage. These are left-wing talking points, left-wing propaganda. 100% not true. Just not true.
That's something that nobody tends to take to recognize, but
because it's not true. You're full of shit. That's why. Why would you recognize? It's like saying, you know what? The worst part is all the beavers that live on the moon. No one's talking about that because it's bullshit. Beavers don't live on the moon. That's the same shit you just said. The very poor in New York City are not supplementing the very rich. It's the same thing. No one's talking about it because it's horse shit you just made up.
that is absolutely the case.
It's really important to understand that free transit is already a thing. Actually, we already have it in New York City for the Staten Island Ferry. That's free.
So the Staten Island Ferry, God, just grasping at straws. Jesus Christ.
Free. And you can thank America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani, for that one. Giuliani did a socialism. More importantly, the biggest bus.
Giuliani did socialism, trying to connect. He was trying to connect. For those who don't know about New York City, Staten Island is physically far away from the other four boroughs. Physically, it is. We have one large bridge. The Verrazano Bridge goes from Brooklyn to Staten Island. If you take that bridge, you need the Battery Tunnel into Manhattan. If you want to, that's one way of getting to Manhattan from Staten Island. Verrazano Bridge to Battery Tunnel into Manhattan. Option one. Option two, you go out to Jersey, right? You take the Outer Bridge Crossing or one of those bridges. You take one of those out there. Goethals, take one of them out there, and then come back in through the Lincoln Tunnel or through the Holland Tunnel. Those are options for you to go back to Manhattan that way. Also a problem. The direct route, there's no direct route. There's no subway, no really good bus that'll do it. I mean, there's a bus that'll come in, but it's not really a good bus that'll do it. Subway doesn't exist. So they created a Staten Island ferry. A ferry is a challenge. So they made it free to make up for the challenge the ferry is. That's it. That's the reason. He didn't do a socialism. Giuliani's from Staten Island. So he wanted to make sure that Staten Island could connect to Manhattan. That's not crazy.
System in the whole country is free. School buses. Now, are there ghouls out there who would love to privatize?
Okay. He says school buses. School buses are they're private companies.
School buses and start charging kids fares? Of course there are.
Okay. The school buses are private companies. Now, to be forward, you aren't paying the fare, but the government's paying the school bus. It's still a private company.
But as of right now,
he won't say that, though. School buses are private companies, right? They're not run by the city. They're run by private companies. The city pays the private companies.
School bus debt isn't a thing. Just kidding. This is America. Of course, that's a thing. See, most school buses are paid for out of school districts' budgets or state funds. But sometimes a district will charge people directly. And that's how you end.
I can't take this guy. I can't take this guy. He's absolutely the worst. What was Crystal? I know what Crystal was thinking. The worst part, though, is that in theory, Sagar is half of Crystal and Friends. I mean, he's not, but in theory he is. You would think this guy, he's the right-leaning Republican conservative. I'm doing nothing but air quotes because none of that shit's true. But in theory, he's that. Whenever I call him Republican, Mike yells at me. That's how I know that Sagar is not that. Because if he was that, Mike would be like, yeah, he is. That's what Mike will be telling me. He doesn't. Whenever I call Sagar that, Mike yells at me. So that's what I'm saying. I know he's not. That's why I'm doing air quotes. Mike, don't yell at me. I'm air quoting. He's the Republican conservative thing, supposedly. Why would he accept this? Because he's not. Or because he's not really 50-50. And it isn't. He's not half of it. It's just Crystal and Friends. He's one of the friends. Sagar's one of the friends. That's what he is. I'm gonna pop this off. I'm ready to vomit. Let me grab a couple comments if I could get that going too, if I can. You guys did a lot of comments. I do want to grab some of these comments. I do. But the problem that we had, though, was talking about how much money this is going to cost. And that was a big deal. All he just basically said was just tax the rich. I get it. Tax rich, but they're leaving. I've been saying it all the time. How can you kind of get some info on that type of thing? Like how much will it cost, that kind of stuff? Where can you go? I'm going to tell you where. Knew it was going to be civil, didn't you? You did. You knew it was. Of course it was. What else could it possibly be? It is civil, absolutely. And here is one piece. And every single show I show you something interesting that civil has. And this is one talking about New York City going bankrupt. Yes, people don't know this. It went bankrupt before. It did. New York City went bankrupt. Of course it did. Because you know what New York City does very well? Take care of its money. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And this is actually a piece. This is from last year. Why were they saying that? Because they knew that how New York's going, it could happen.
This is the Reason interview with Nick Gillespie. 50 years ago, in 1975, New York City almost went bankrupt.
Yep.
What if I told you that the Big Apple's fiscal foobar isn't just a cautionary tale from the past, but a very real preview of what might happen again and soon? And I'm
Yes. Now, here, this is last year. He's saying New York City has a $13 billion budget gap. But I thought rich people weren't leaving. Didn't that moron just tell us that people weren't leaving New York City? They weren't leaving New York City. We tax them, but they don't leave, except they do leave. Knucklehead. It's every place. A simple Google. If you just did a Google search, you would see that. There's article upon article upon article upon data, government data. Not even data, government data. IRS is saying it. They're leaving like there's no tomorrow. Everywhere. This is going to happen again. So what's our answer? You know what? Free buses. Tax the rich.
not just talking about the surprise victory of self-described socialist Zohran Mamdani in the city's Democratic primary for
This is just this year. Did I say last year? This year. It's just this year.
mayor, although that's part of it. My guest today is Richard E. Farley, author of Drop Dead, a history of how the richest city in America got addicted to spending.
Bingo. I think you will love that. Look, if you want to see this stuff, you can see it. It is good here. And that's what I like about this, right? Civil has so many interesting things on it. You can always find something cool. You can always find something cool on Civil. How do you get there? Civil.com, CIVL.com. When you get over there, do me a favor. When you sign up, put in my code, Larry, L-A-R-R-Y, 50% off for the entire year, $25 for the entire year, not per month. Whole year, $25. You cannot beat that with a stick. Don't try, because you're going to wreck your computer. Don't wreck your computer. Don't do that. Don't worry, beat it with a stick. Don't do that. Instead, just go there, sign up, $25 for the entire year. Always something interesting. You can type in that search bar something like New York, Mamdani, whatever. You will find cool things like this to check out, learn, and you'll be able, when knuckleheads like that guy show up again, to know exactly how to rip them to pieces. Civil will help you do that without being mean, with actual data. You could do it that way. You don't have to have a conflict machine. You can upgrade civilization with Civil, CIVL.com. Code is Larry, L-A-R-R-Y, the coolest name on the internet. And even better, there are We Fix It Wednesdays on there, 6 of them, 7 of them that are only there and no place else. Not too shabby, guys. Thank you for popping up in there. I appreciate it. All right, so let me grab some more comments if I could. I'm going to head back to where I'm trying to get back to the top if I can. We'll see what's going on too. All righty. Mike has a lot to say. Well, we live in the same city, so I get it. He says, if I had to choose a free bus or more safety, give me Safety or Cleaner City or trains that don't break down 2 times for 2 weeks every year. Yes, I joke about this, but when it rains, when it's a heavy rain in New York City becomes Mogadishu. I'm not joking. Trains shut down, buses shut down, stuff gets flooded all the time. Oh, it's heavy rain? There's some subway that's flooded. There's some subway that's broken. Yes, you're right. I would rather have that. Let me have a safer, better system than a free one. The 250 or 270, what, it's 275 now? I think it's 275. The 275 now, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, absolutely. Gene says, my mom worked for the P&LE Railroad. The train stations here in Pittsburgh were opulent and luxurious until Amtrak took over. My mom took my brother and me to California twice when we were kids. It was a wonderful trip. Of course, that's before Amtrak. For those who don't know, Amtrak is when American, that's what Amtrak, when the government took over. Yes, every single time when the government takes over, it gets worse. Every time. So what do we ask for? Government takeover. Literally never gets better, ever. It's worse every single time. Thomas says, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, trolleys and trains were probably owned. Yes. Amusement parks like Coney Island were established to increase demand for the services. Yes. It worked. It can work. The problem is, again, price controls during World War II wrecked everything. Yes. Ronna says, in North Virginia, our buses fill with traffic. Everybody who rides pays, but the drivers get to know their regular customers and will allow them to skip and pay and make it up tomorrow. Oh, that's actually sweet. I like that. Oh, that's nice. There we go. That's actually pretty cool. I do enjoy that. All right, let's grab some of these if I can. Mr. Must Sharpe Way. Yep. You want some Sharpe Way merch? You can. Maybe a shirt or a mug. You can do it. Check out the products at the store if you want to. Zazzle store, Sharpe Way. Not Larry Sharpe, separate. If you want to, absolutely please do so. If you want to, all good. I appreciate every little bit you can. Feel free to jump on board. So yes. Rick says, anyone with the power to give you anything has power to take it away. Yes. Absolutely. Why would you want government to do more of it? Yes. All righty. Dave says, translation, you make it free by raising property taxes and implementing progressive property taxes. The higher the value of your property, the higher in percentage you pay. That and even more progressive city income tax. I'm not sure that's where he's going. I think he just wants to raise tax on the rich. This, I come back to it again. This is one massive, and I mean massive, virtue signal. That's what it is. Yes. Mike says, every day I see dozens of kids walk onto a bus and not pay. Only old people pay most of the time. Yes, I see people not pay all the time. Where I am in Queens, there's a big bus station right where I am, a bus stop, not station. It's a transit place. You know, Mike, you've been there. It's right by where Neptune Diner used to be. And you see people, they get off the train and just get right in the bus. Don't pay nothing, right in the bus. I mean, maybe 25% of the people pay. And that's probably high. I think it's more like 20%. They're not paying now. Once they made that stupid system, it was over. It was over. Yes. I mean, that's really the issue. So yeah, that's even imagine it's crazy. So yeah. All righty. Dave says, Larry, airport said moving sidewalks. Why not make all sidewalks moving sidewalks? Well, there is something happening in Japan right now. The Japanese have this idea of actually making sidewalks energy producers. That as all the people in the mass cities of Tokyo and Osaka and such walk, they go up and down on the subway and they go up and down, and that actually makes energy. So they're looking at doing that. So I'd rather people walk. I'd rather them walk. So I'm not sure. Yes, I'd rather them walk. So I don't know if I want them doing that. Let them walk instead. If you can walk, walk. I don't mean to be mean, but cities are supposed to be walkable, right? Have they been telling us? Then make them walkable then, right? If that's what you're telling me, let's do it. I'm not mad at you. Whatever. So anyway. All righty. Grab some more of these if I could. All righty. Shelly says, I currently have to make a choice between getting internet access to watch Larry or get a membership. But Larry still reads my coherent test. Now so much incoherent thoughts, lol. Yes, Shelly, don't worry about it. If you have to make a choice, keep your internet. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I adore you. And you do something more important. For those who don't know, Shelly does something more important. Shelly shows up. And I mean physically. Shelly shows up. And that matters even more. You don't got to write a thing. I'm always going to read your stuff, Shelly. And you have great stories too, by the way. You also have great stories. So don't worry about it. Shelly, when I do events, Shelly shows up. She comes to the events. So, yep, I'm not complaining. She was at court with me, too. She showed up when I went to court. You good, Shelly. I'll keep reading your stuff. Don't worry about it. For the rest of you who did not come to court with me, you guys should become members. You guys come to court with me like Shelly. That's option 1. Option 2, become a member. You go head over to YouTube, Sharpe YouTube, $49 per month is a great way to become a member. It allows me to keep going more and more, and not to be so. You sometimes notice, some of you guys notice that I will pop up relatively late because I'm too busy working. So I'm figuring stuff out at the last second. So I could spend more time working on this and less time doing actual work if I had more members. So please help me out if you can. $49 per month. That's a cup of coffee. I know, but I'm worth it. It's a cup of coffee. Come on now. I give you more energy than a cup of coffee. It's once a month. So if you could please pop over to Sharpe YouTube, click join, $49 per month. The other advantage of that is you get to come on member shows, which I have another one next month, be on with me, which is awesome. We can all chat together. You've seen those before. And you can send me stuff. Sometimes you see the things that I talk about. Is what people have sent me. You send me stuff and I'll react to it. So there are advantages to become a member. Please do so if you can. I would appreciate it. All right. So that covers that. I do want to cover over on Instagram. L. Harry says, as a current employee of the MTA, people refuse to pay the fare all the time. Yes, all the time. That's true. I see it. Mike sees it. He sees it. We all see it. We all see it. Absolutely true. All right, let me grab some more comments if I could. There are many of these here. Masterman Out says, can you panhandle on a bus? Officially, no, but people do, right? Officially, you cannot, but people do all the time. So, yeah, it will be nice if they didn't, but they do. They absolutely do. All right. Greg says, it's like high schoolers running for student body president. The winner is literally the one who gets the best food. Vote for me. I'll give you free stuff. Yep, absolutely. Yes, that's very true. I see that all the time. So Dave says, I thought 311 was non-emergency police. No, yeah, if you have a problem, you call 311. You call 411 too. 411, 311, whatever. Any of them, as long as it's not 911. Someone will help you. Someone will help you. 311 will work. 911. You shouldn't do 911. They'll refer you to someplace else. 411 will help you, and so will 311. Both will. Yes, for whatever you want. That's how New York City works. So, yep. All righty. Let's see here. Masterman House, I thought it was Jack Black. He looks a little bit like Jack Black, but not a lot. A little bit. He looks a little bit like that, yes. All right, you grab that one. Okay. Andrew says buses are about $1 here. Buses down there are like $2, right? They're like I think it's $2.75. I think that's right. So yes. Greg says, how full are the buses usually in New York City during rush hour? Other times. Generally speaking, they're very packed rush hour. Outside of rush hour, it's moderate. You almost always get a seat outside of rush hour. But rush hour is relatively large for us. Rush hour probably starts around 7 in that area, maybe. Probably ends around 9:30, 10 in that area, I'd guess. So pretty crowded around those times. Other times, not so much. So yeah. All righty. Andrea says, if everything was free, people would still fight because there'll always be people with a chip on their shoulder looking for conflict. True, but also, if everything was free, I'd want to go in and get like all the things. And then in comes Andrew saying, well, I want all the things. We can't all have all the things. Now we're fighting. So yes, he's utterly full of shit. That would not work at all. It's terrible. And it goes on to say, was assaults on bus drivers a huge problem? No, he made that up. That's my point. He's made all of this stuff up. He's made all of this stuff up. Yes. All right. Bronna says, I've seen a fair share of junkies on buses here, but they're harmless. Ride time is not time for them. But the real thugs don't seem to ride on buses. The issue, of course, becomes, though, right? And I need to be whether we like this or not, here's the most important piece. Many people who ride the bus are elderly women. That's a common thing. And women in general, women going to different jobs. If you're a woman or elderly woman, do you feel comfortable sitting next to a junkie? To use your phrase. I would rather say an addict, but to use your phrase. Of course you don't feel comfortable. You don't. I'm not mad at you for that. You don't know what's going to happen. You're an older woman. You're probably smaller physically. You're probably not as strong physically. You're afraid. Why would I want to get in a bus when I'm afraid? Right? So they may be harmless, right? I'm not that afraid of them, but also to be very forward, and I don't mean to be mean. Many of them smell terrible. You're an addict. You're not worried about, look, I'm not insulting addicts. My mother was an addict. I know what it's like to have an addict in your life. It's not fun to have an addict in your life, particularly someone who you love tremendously. It's not fun. It doesn't change the realities. Very often, particularly when they hit the street, they don't shower. How can they? They're on the streets all day. They don't. They smell terrible. It's very common. Not all, obviously, but many do. I'm sitting in a bus and I'm going to sleep. You're right, nod time. Why? I don't have a place to sleep. I'm basically homeless. I've decided to be homeless. And you might say decided. Yes, many addicts decide that because they'd rather be out hustling to get cash, and being at home was a waste of their time. They're worried about getting cash for the next hit. And that's a choice they make. Not judging. It's the way it is. You should understand addicts. So, yeah, they often smell terrible. It's true. So why would I want to be in a bus with that? Now, it's bad in a subway, but to the earlier point, I can change cars in a subway. Not so easy in a bus. So, yes. And another part is if I skip a subway, odds are a few minutes the subway's coming. I skip a bus, it might be 10, 15 minutes. I'm late now. It's a problem. Duke says, what do you think of a flat tax? Everyone pays 10%. Obviously, I don't like taxation. Clearly, that's true. I'm a libertarian. But if I had to pick a tax, that's the one I'd pick. Right? If I'm stuck with a tax, that's the one I'd pick. That's what I would say. I think of the taxes, it's the best one. But to be fair, that's something that could go in America, you'd have to have a floor. So that'd be something like, I'm making this number up, depending on where you are in the country. It might be, all right, you at the first $30,000 you make is untaxable. And then at the $1, at the $30,001, that's taxed 10%. Everything above that is. That would then not make it regressive at that point, right? By default, because then the first 30,000 is not taxed. So the more money you make by percentage, the more money you're paying, right? Because the first 30,000 is gone. You make $30 million a year, well, then that's nothing. You make $35,000 a year, it's a massive tax cut. So yes, if you add that, whatever the flow would be, I made that number up 30,000, might be 10, might be 40, but whatever. Yes. Hope that answers your question. So, all righty. Greg says, thank you for remember, Greg, many people just feel that giving people free stuff is the right thing to do. Then look at the underlying long-term costs. You have hit it exactly. You are absolutely correct. It is a massive virtue signal. It feels good. And they're not wrong. It does feel good. It does. That's true. It's just not good. It doesn't help, but it's making better. But it does make me feel better. I gave the poorest free buses. See how good I am, Greg? I'm better than you because you didn't want to give the poorest buses. I did. You poor poors. I'm a great person. Look how good I am. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, Andrea says, I love how they use the stat percentage without showing there really wasn't a problem in the first place. Yes. There's no problem to be solved. It's not a thing. Andrew goes on to go on and says, it gives him the feels. It does. You're not wrong. You're actually not wrong. Yes. Absolutely. All righty. Let's see here. Mike says, it's real simple. Come to the Bronx tomorrow morning, get on the 60 or 30 buses, film walking on the bus without hesitation, and dozens doing it alongside of you. Driver won't even look. Driver doesn't care. You're totally right. Driver does not care at all. It means nothing. I completely agree. Yes. All righty. Markel says, the MTA has come a long way since you get special treatment for passing for white, Larry Sharpe. The MTA has come a long way since you could get special for passing for white, Larry Sharpe. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean back in the day when black people had to go to the back of the bus? Back in those days, it was private. And the advantage of private, now I'll give you a perfect example. Rosa Parks, speaking about that. Rosa Parks bus situation and the strike that came after it, the boycott that came after it wouldn't have worked if it was a public bus system. It doesn't work. Why? Because the buses get funded no matter what. If you boycott the MTA, it doesn't matter. The MTA still makes money. The MTA still goes. A boycott doesn't work with a public system. So Rosa Parks fails with a public system. A private system, it works. Why? Because private companies pay a price if they screw their customers over. The government does not. How do we know that? COVID. When the lockdowns came, the MTA got its ass kicked. And what happened? Bailout. That's it, done. Private company goes under. That's how that works. So I'm not sure. What are you? I'm not sure what this comment means. And by the way, I do not pass for white. If you're talking about for me, I do not. I'm very sure of that. So yes, but I do think that back in the day that was true. But again, back in the day that works. Imagine in the time of Rosa Parks, if it was a government system. Government controls it. The government makes rules of segregation. It's the law. There's no way of stopping it. Rosa Parks just goes to jail. That's it. It's over. It's a private company. Rosa Parks gets arrested. There's a boycott. They break. Private sector working yet again. Gene says, in 2015, Jimmy Carter said that we have now become an oligarchy. A Chicago newspaper is blaming Trump for the oligarchy. I found this in a Google search. Meanwhile, Trump didn't run for office until 2016. He didn't actually take office until 2017. Yeah. Oligarchy's been around for a while. Been around for a very long time. I think that's true. Yes. Let's see here. Thomas says, so you're bringing race in this conversation. Was that for me? Did I bring racism in? I don't think I did. Was that for me? I'm not sure. So I don't think I did. If I brought it in, tell me, Thomas. You gotta be if that was for me. Be clear on it, and I'm happy to bring up if you think I did. Duke Effects, thank you for the $5. Google admitting to throttling content creators as the Biden administration request. I know they crushed me. I'm aware of that. I complain all the time. They devastated me. As you guys know, I ran for governor in 2018, made lots of 2019, was on all the big shows, 2018, Rogan, all the big shows, doing all the good stuff. I was getting 5,000 views easy. Every one of my videos on Facebook, on YouTube, massive, getting nice big hits. Then the lockdowns came. And I started saying, I don't think these mandates are a good idea. Whoa, crushed. 5,000 views to 500 views overnight. Overnight. Gone. Boom. Trashed. All of a sudden, no one sees my stuff anymore. People email me, Larry, are you still doing your show? All of a sudden, gone. You might go, well, Larry, it's because you suck. Well, I don't. But even if I did, well, what would have happened? My subscriptions would have gone down. All my follows would have gone down. If I was that bad, all of a sudden, Larry became bad. Okay, great. People would stop following me. Oh, that didn't happen. Followers, subscriptions stay the same. All of a sudden, views go down 90%. And I'm not exaggerating when I say 90%. 90% reduction in views. Yeah, I know completely. Yes. Google's saying they're going to stop. I hope they do. Because maybe I can start growing it. But my worry is the damage so done? Right? So, Maximum Turian says, where's the link for the t-shirts? Head on over to LarrySharpe.com/shirts. shop. And you can get the coolest Larry Sharpe shirts if you want Larry Sharpe shirts, right? That's if you want my Larry Sharpe shirts. If you want my Sharpe Way shirts, you head over to Zazzle and type in Sharpe Way. So whichever you prefer, they are two separate pieces. One is for Larry Sharpe doing my political endeavors. That is LarrySharpe.com/shop. The other one is for the Sharpe Way, this show itself, which is Zazzle.com. And you input in the search bar, Sharpe Way. Hope that answers your question. I do appreciate that. Guys, no matter what you do, please click the button known as like, Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Please click that button. It does matter. Every click makes more people see this. So please do this. It does matter tremendously. Please do that. Yes. All right, I'm going to grab some more of these if I can. All right. Matchman says, are you sure she's not AI? I think I saw her trying to sell me a pink Saltra. Cute. That's cute. I see that commercial all the time, particularly on, I see it on YouTube. I see it all the time. Yep. But no, she's a real person. I know people like her 100%. Yes. All righty. Walk down here. Let's see here. Mike says, I never call Saga right. He's center left, which makes him right of crystal. Your point's valid. He is right of crystal. That's accurate. So I guess if I could say he's right of crystal, that would be accurate. But he's not a righty. I know. But he is right of crystal. That's true. That's an accurate statement. He's definitely right of crystal. There's something. So yes. Ronna says, I've met a lot of people through Facebook, originally from New York, who are not wealthy at all, who relocated. Yes. People are leaving New York all over the place. It isn't just the wealthy. The wealthy are leaving too. But yeah, they're leaving all the time. Florida and Arizona seem to be the hot spots from what I've noticed. Also, yes, Florida's huge for us, but also the Carolinas. Used to be South Carolina more than North Carolina. Now it's kind of a mix. Yeah, I tell this story years ago. There was a saying they had in the Carolinas. They would call New Yorkers halfbacks. They moved to Florida and halfway back. They would call us halfbacks. Doesn't need to call. But I don't know if that's still true. 6 years ago it was a thing. I'm not sure if it's true anymore, but it used to be. So yeah. Anyway, all righty. Shelly says it. I've seen Larry many times, including court. He's as real as he projects himself in these videos, and it's worth hearing him live in different places, seeing ideas for their communities. You know how much I love that, Shelly? The thing that I like best is a lot of people who are here have seen me in person in some way, shape, or form. By the way, I am heading out again this weekend. Yes, I am. I'll post this coming up here in my socials tomorrow. I'll start posting it. I'll be back out. Thank you for bringing it up. I'll be back. I'll be in Chautauqua County. If I can find my pieces where I will be here. If I can find them real fast, where I will be. Thursday night, I'll be in Brooklyn at 6 p.m. in Brooklyn. The next day, 6 p.m. Friday, I will be in Chautauqua County, which for those of you who don't know is the most furthest western county in New York State. Then I'll be doing the Western and the Finger Lakes. I'll be doing Wyoming County on Saturday, Yates County on Saturday, Cayuga County on Saturday, then Sunday, Chenango, and then Hudson Valley. So I will be making those stops this week/weekend. I'll be posting those things coming up here tomorrow and tonight. So you'll see them if you want to come see me. Please stop by. She's right. When you see me, I'm the same guy as I always am. Someone wearing a Larry Sharpe shirt and a jacket usually. But yes, I'm the same guy. I do these events with no notes, and you can just show up. Please show up. They're usually at events. One of them is going to be at a fair. I think in Wyoming County, it'll be at a fair. So just stop by the booth, the Libertarian Party booth, stop by the booth and say hi to me. Other places are usually events like the restaurants, diners. Here's what I ask when you come: buy something to support the local business. That's it. There's no fee to come in. But please buy something. Buy a cup of coffee or soda if you're not doing well. If you're doing well financially, please buy a meal. But buy something and support them, whatever it is. If you're not doing well, buy a cup of coffee. If you're doing well, buy a meal. That's what I would ask you. Do something when you come there. If you're going to have a beer there. So that's what I would ask you. Support local businesses. If you can, to come see me, ask me questions, chat back and forth. And the events are sometimes, you see, I often post photos. They're also often very intimate. At the highest part, I maybe get 25, 30 people, sometimes 35, 40, but it's rare. But I will go that high. Often I get 4, 5, 6 people. All depends. So you show up. It might be 3 of us hanging out. Might be 30 of us hanging out. But it doesn't matter. I take questions and comments whenever I possibly can. So please come by if you can. So yeah. Minor Threat says, yes, the smell. It's true. I'm not being a jerk. It's the way it is. Yes. All righty. Kaiwan says, where is when? Is the when? Okay, I'm going to assume you mean where and when. Debate between New York City election mayor because this guy got to go. This Zohran guy got to go. Oh, okay. I don't know. Good question. They did debate before. Maybe I must do another one. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Let me walk down some of these roads if I can. Another amazing story by Jean. She always has cool stories too. My mom was mugged coming home from work on my first day of high school. Wow. He pummeled her, but she came home with his knife. My mom was 4'11" of feistiness. Wow. That's kind of cool. I'm sorry she got beat up, but that's cool that she came up with a knife. That is kind of cool. The knife part's cool. That's what I like. So yeah. All righty. Let's see here. Little Lady says, we're starting to get good views again, though. Yeah, so maybe this is true. Maybe, maybe the Duke is right. Maybe they're starting to not throttle me. I hope so. Yes. Greg says, so Larry, maybe you should give your merch away, but charge the rich more for memberships. Think how much you save in administrative costs. Good point. And by the way, if you come to my events, I'm going to start giving out shirts at my events. Probably next month, we'll start giving out shirts. And I'll ask for a donation, but take the shirt. The shirt is free. It is. So yes, there we go. All righty. Let's see here. I did not think anyone would click the trust choice in the chat poll. I'm sure. Oh, is there a poll? I missed the poll. Hold on. Mike, you didn't tell me there was a poll. I got to check the poll now. Mike making me work again. Mike, why are you making me work? Check the poll. I didn't even realize it was a poll. I should check that thing if I can. All righty here. Let me see what the poll is saying. I should have checked the poll. That's my fault. I tell you, that is my fault. All right. Oh, I see. Yes. Are you more or less likely to vote for a candidate that promises free goods or services? Less likely, don't trust them. All politicians lie. Not sure. Way more trust them. Yeah. Some people are telling the truth. They are actually trying to they will give the free stuff away, Mike. They will give it away. If Mamdani can give it away, he will. He's not lying, right? If he can give it away, he will. He might not be able to, but he absolutely will. Yes. Yes. Thomas says the racism remark was in response to Markel saying when you can pass away. Yeah. That's often an issue, right? People, you will see a lot of people. It's part of dismissing, Tom. When you bring up things like gender, race, sex, when you bring up sexual orientation, when you bring these up when it doesn't matter, sometimes it matters, right? If you're talking about Rosa Parks, it matters, right? But if you're talking about Rosa Parks, it doesn't really matter that much, right? So, but you bring it up, it helps to dismiss. If I call you an ist or a phobe, Thomas, now everything you say is irrelevant. So I can dismiss you by calling you an ist or a phobe. Now everything you say, forget that. You know what I'm saying? Now I can just tell you go to hell. That's how that works. So, yeah. All righty. Let's see here. Abrona says, I totally agree with your response regarding my junkie comment. I was only addressing the actual crimes on buses I've seen there, nearly zero. Yeah, I think you do find crimes here or there. They do happen, but it's not very common. I think you're right. It's not very common at all. The issue is the uncomfortableness of the ride, particularly for people who feel weak, right? Who feel like they are weaker, who feel like they are more vulnerable. I think that's the issue that you worry about more. But yeah, they feel like a crime is imminent, whether it is or not, right? The emotion is, oh my God. And what to G, was it Shelley's point? No, G. I forgot which one told me now. I forgot. Saying that the mom being worried about being pummeled. If that's happened, you're concerned, right? The question becomes, right? So I talk often about government running it and better for the private market to run it, blah, blah. All right. Can we talk about that outside of this place? We can. Where can we talk about that? We can talk about that on The Advocates. Yes, head over to The Advocates if you could. There is actually a link in my show description on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. It says link to Advocates. Click that specific link. Head over to The Advocates for self-government. And there is a specific article on urban planning called Libertarian Road Management, Pricing and Street Design. This was recently, this is a couple months ago. It's about 8-minute read. Talks about how libertarians could handle this, what could actually happen, why it will work in a libertarian world, how you would price it. It's concepts on my roads, right? How do I fix my roads? Here's an actual article on a way to do it. There's a piece on buses. Smart way to compress dozens of individuals from the car trips into a single vehicle that moves at the same speed of a car. Blah, blah, blah. Here's what we talk about it. Road companies, all these things. How do we deal with that? It's all right here. Parking, all here. This is actually bicycles. Here, how could it actually work? Let us know what you think. when you're done after reading it, and then share it. Let us know what you think, and then share it. This matters. It's free. The other stuff I ask you to do, become a member. That's money. Please pay the money. But you don't have to. Do this. Or you can join Civil, $25. Please do that. But if you don't, here we go. Free. Costs nothing. Like button also free, but this is free. Head on over to the Advocates by clicking the link that is in my description. Read this article or something similar, whatever you like. Lots of articles over there. Read them, grade them, share them. Why? Because more people will come here and read it. Lots of people talk about my roads. Who will build the roads? Here's an answer. Here's an answer. Check it out right here. Look at that. You'll see what happens. And when people are talking about it, now we have more people talking about actual answers that will make things better. The Advocates for Self-Government, click the link down there in my description. They are a sponsor. I love what they do. I support them completely. Help me support them by going there, clicking that link, reading an article, grading it, whatever you think, grading it, and then sharing it. It does matter. Please do so. Help me out here. And it's free. Even better, it's free. And that's what I want you to support this show so that we keep growing. I'm trying my damnness to produce a show that makes sense, that you can enjoy, that you can share, that actually gives you something to talk about, that you can have people who disagree and agree on the same show, have a conversation back and forth. I do that by you guys helping me out, clicking that button known as like. But not just that. You know what happens after the show. Once this is over, please comment. After it's over, wherever you are watching, come back and comment. And when you comment, here's what I want you to comment. I want you to comment on what do you think about the free bus idea? Whatever you think about it. Is it good, bad? Is it silly? Is it going to work? Not going to work? I don't care what you think. Tell me what you think about that. If you would, please do so. If you would, I appreciate it tremendously. Not just that. Obviously, once this is over, if it's not live, do me a favor. You'll see two different videos pop up. Click on one of them and watch them right away. I'll be on tomorrow. I will see you all very soon.